What's good, y'all? My name is Rorvis Paradox, aka Docs Brando, and I'd like to welcome you all to another installment of Rorvis Reviews. Today's episode is a special one. It's a little bit of a throwback film, but it's a film that I and many others highly enjoyed. So I can't wait to really talk about it. And if you haven't seen this movie, it's literally like 2 decades old, so I will not feel bad if I get into spoilers. There probably won't even be no spoiler warning on this, because why haven't you seen Sky High? Like, come on, dude. Cinema, duh. Make sure that you are following the IG for you can stay up to date. Make sure you're a part of the Patreon. Now, if you want to be a real doxaholic, all it is $5 a month. Just $5 a month. And if you don't want to do that, you can just join for free. I will be uploading content to there anyway, as well as there's going to be some things I'm trying to get started. So live listening sessions of albums, discussions, stuff like that. So we're gonna really try to get amped up over there. So if you want to support me, support the channel, please be a doxaholic. $5. You feel me? And with all that being said, let's get into it. Before there was My Hero Academia, but after there were the X-Men, there was 2005 Sky High, directed by Mike Mitchell. Now this film is a classic in my opinion. I don't even know if I have to say cult classic. Like, this is just a classic film amongst many of my generation, and even some that were a bit older at the time. They understood that this film was just special. It came at just the right time for a film like this. Now, the premise of this film is about the story of Will Stronghold. Will is the son of the Commander and Jetstream, two of the greatest heroes of all time, and he is their offspring. So now he has to live up to legacy while attending the school Sky High, the school for superheroes. Now that all seems well, but Will has just one major problem. He has not acquired his parents' powers either. Not the ability to fly, not the ability to have super strength. Will has none of that, and he's been faking like he has super strength for a while now, so to keep up this bravado to make his dad feel proud. But once he gets to school, he is designated to the sidekick distinction instead of the hero distinction, and there's all discrepancies between the two, very much so. And so it's just the story of Will going from sidekick and trying to learn what that means and trying to get his dad to accept it, to becoming the man at the man of the school when his super strength does finally emerge. And that's the real premise of the film. I want to start with that section first. I don't want to get too into the film, even though it's a film we've all seen before. I'm gonna get to it. I want to ease us into the highlights right now. And what I truly enjoyed from the highlight was number 1 and 2, the intro and introduction through the comic panels, like drawn, were spectacular. I thought that was a great inclusion. I think the cinematography for this film is great too. Each scene feels like it's from a comic panel, like the way the light is shaded, the distinctions of the set design, everything is really superhero comic oriented, and I love that coming from this film. I love the montage sequence in the film as well. We've all familiar with the different montage sequences that's happened before, but this one feels very genuine and really cool, honestly, to see Will and his friends go through the different courses and lessons of being sidekicks and whatnot. And I think there's some good humor within that montage section as well. The writing for this film was superb in my opinion. Written by Paul Hernandez, Bob Schooley, and Mark McCorkle. If you know Bob and Mark, they're the creators of Kim Possible, so they add their little splash in at the beginning and middle, the beginning and end with the comic panels. Those were their work, but again, bringing them all together to make this film that just knew what it was. I think the humor in here is well timed. It brought some genuine emotions, in my opinion. The drama in this film is better than you expect for a film of this caliber. And this film did an excellent job of writing characters to be more than what their stereotypes were. There's a lot more nuances to some of these characters that I truly enjoyed. And something that made me want to do a video on this simple but effective movie is the different themes within it. I think it was very interesting, the dynamic, because with Sky High, it's in this central point where with X-Men, if you, as long as you were a mutant and you wasn't trying to do nothing crazy, you were accepted. And if you wanted to be on the team and you had the know-how to know what to do, you were good. And My Hero, there's levels to it, but they're still able to learn your abilities. You may be able to move up the ranks and be one of those ones. With Sky High, it's one person deciding your livelihood, about how you're going to be judged. It's so crazy because you're either a hero or hero support, and hero support is the political correct version of saying sidekick, because sidekick is an insult. It's like a slur. Like, they be throwing out sidekick like crazy, and they really mean it with respect and this stern. It's really messed up, but not messed up, but y'all know what I mean. Like, it's really a bullying tool. And what's crazy is sidekicks can't even come up with their own names in this universe, because one of our characters named Zach, he was like, yeah, when we get our hero names, and I call dibs on Zack Attack, and teachers are like, nah, when you graduate, once you get assigned to a hero, your hero will tell you what your name is. That's all sorts of messed up, in my opinion. And like, I couldn't. And then there's a scene where the commander is talking to Will, and he's like, I couldn't imagine what your grandfather would say if I brought them home, referring to the sidekicks. Like, they were treating sidekicks crazy. Like, it's a real dichotomy and like kind of a segregation of sorts, very much so dealing with classism in that sense. Because what I noticed in the film and in its climax, almost everyone's abilities that is a quote unquote sidekick steps up to plate when necessary. So in my head, like, there's a character, they call him Popsicle because he can just melt. He could be so cold, like he could be infiltrating places, like sliding under cracks and stuff. He could be like just like kind of like teleporting in a sense to, like, there's so many ways to make even that ability cool. But like, because of one person, and that's Coach Sonic Boom, he's the reason they're separated. And there's many people like him before. So much judgment off of one person. Like, one person gets to decide your fate, basically. And it's ridiculous. It's horrible. And I think that compared to other hero genres, when it comes to stuff like this, it makes no sense to not even try to let somebody step up. Like, I think there should be an actual test besides someone deciding if your ability is adequate or not. And that's what leads to the core plot of the film, but I'm gonna get to that in a second. Next, I mentioned it earlier, but set design, I really enjoy how things look. I enjoyed especially the layer of the Commander and Jetstream. I think it looks really cool, sleek, very minimalist. And then like the different artifacts they have from their escapades as heroes is really cool as well. And I think it's fun that the Goofy Dash is like, you see my pool table, you see my pinball machine, like, you have so much other stuff in here, but that's your flex. Excellent, love it. I think one of the greatest things about this film is the costume design. Not only is it so heavily 2000s fashion, like it just reeks of it, I think that the fits are great because they really feel comic based, like especially with the colors. Certain characters have those certain colors, like Zach, since his ability is to glow, he's always like this highlight yellow colors always around him. Will, because he's the lineage of Jetstream and Commander, he's usually in red, white, and blue in some form or fashion. Layla, his friend turned love interest, always green. She's very hippie-ish. Love the different attires that she wears. I love the hero costumes of the Commander and Jetstream. You know, Commander gives me very much so Superman mixed with Captain America with color scheme, and the Jetstream same thing as her. Same thing. Definitely get like some Wonder Woman esque essence from her. And then the villain costume for Royal Pain, mwah, beautiful, excellent. I love everything about it. So fucking cool. I think this film had that not many people will talk about, but I'm going to say it. Sky High has some very creative fight sequences, and you're like, fight sequences? Yes, fight sequences, like the fight between Will and Warren Peace in the lunchroom, when when Will's abilities appear and he lifting Warren on the lunch table, he just full stand, he got him up and he just launches him, bro. The Warren goes, hits the roof section, flips, goes right through a lunch table, and I think that was just some wicked shit they made that stunt double do. Like, oh my goodness, it was so cool to watch. And then I'm thinking about the Save the Citizen gym session where Warren and Will have to beat Lash and Speed in this competition, and Lash over here stretching ability stretches out to a streetlight pole. Speed launches off him and goes pinball in the arena on them. And I thought that was excellent. I thought Will figuring out, okay, if I jump up and just like ground pound, I'm gonna make him trip. Lash is gonna be on the ground. He ties up Lash to a street pole, and then in one of the sequences when Speed is using his is creating a vortex to try to suffocate Warren, Will just like grabs him, and for some reason Speed is still like in sprint mode, so he looked like a badass rabbit kid, and he just lets him go and runs into Lash. Boom. And then there's some other fight sequences as well within the film that I thought were really cool. So I think that they were better than most people give it credit for. I want to get into the soundtrack and the score. I think the theme for the Strongholds, the power placement theme, Gwen's theme, Warren, like all these different scores and pieces for certain characters really spoke to me. And then of course when you have songs like I'll stop the world and melt with you, like I remember hearing that as a kid, and it's still one of those songs that I will randomly sing all the time. It's definitely infectious. Overall, like this film is so real, is really underrated in a sense, but that's not, I'm not fully done. I do want to talk about the twist, and with coming with the twist, let's talk about what happens in the film. Like I said, Will is a sidekick, then his abilities appear, so now he's been moved from sidekick to hero courses, and now he's in the space with the love interest Gwen. Now Gwen Grayson is the most popular girl in school. She's beautiful, she's smart, and she has this cool ability to make technology do whatever she wants with her mind. So the first thing we see from her is they're trying to work and making a freeze ray, and he doesn't know what he's doing, so she just waves her hand, boom, creates the freeze ray. And the professor's like, next time don't help out too much, after freezing the kid with the said freeze ray. And this is where she kind of like starts to infiltrate his life in a sense, and starts taking over, especially taking the spot that which belonged to Layla at first. And this is where you start to figure Layla has some feelings for him, and in the back of his mind he may have feelings for her as well, but he's always thought of her as just as a good friend, and never any much so. But with Gwen slowly infiltrating their lives, she starts putting a gap between them two, and then she's warming up to the Commander and Jetstream. And this is where we first hear about the name of Sue Terry. Sue Terry was a character that went to school with the Commander and Jetstream, and she had this weird ability nobody understood, and she was a nerd, and they all just talk about her kind of meanly. Well, especially the Commander. The Commander is just like one of those people that's just, he might mean well, but he's definitely one of those people that his parents instilled in him some bad biases, and because of that, the way he talks and how he thinks, it definitely affected that. But I'll get to that in a second. So after Gwen causes Layla to like get furious with Will and saying that he doesn't care about her, he knows she likes him, she likes him, and he's just too nice of a guy to tell her to buzz off, and makes her run off. Will, unlike most characters, was like, what? That's my dog. Wait, what are you doing? You can't. We're done. I ain't going with you nowhere. Boom. And this is where we get a really crazy twist. He's looking at the yearbook for when they grew up, and he's really looking at Sue Terry. He looks at a closer picture of Sue Terry. Then he noticed what she's holding. She's holding a prototype of the pacifier, a weapon utilized by Royal Pain, the first enemy the Commander and Jetstream defeated as a duo. And he's like, I gotta get to Sky High, because everything that's lining up is for the Commander Jetstream to come to Sky High for prom, for the dance, and it's actually a trap. From there, we find out that Gwen is Royal Pain. And now you may have been thinking, this is kind of obvious, is it? And slightly yes and no, because we don't know who Royal Pain is. Because number one, every time we heard Royal Pain talk, it's the voice of Patrick Warburton with this male, like very robotic voice. And you'll never know that was her, because that's Royal Pain with the mask on. So she switches her dress, turns into this awesome gear, and this is where we find out her plan. And the pacifier isn't a lethal weapon. It's a weapon that turns the person getting shot with it and reverse them to infantry, like turns them into babies. And now we found out her plan was to create a Sky High for villains, because her ability, which is used as technology, was frowned upon and laughed at and looked down on in the earlier times with the Commander and Jetstream. So because of the biases and the disdain for truly unique abilities that are not the typical strength or combative flight, those type of abilities, because of that, she had a disdain for the school and wanted revenge. And this is where we find out Will appears. He said, put my dad down, and I'm sorry that my parents killed your mom. And she's all like, they didn't kill Royal Pain. When it blew up, I reverted back to a baby. I am Royal Pain. I am Sue Terry. And you're like, oh. And this is why I think the comedic timing is just funny. Will's like, oh my God, I made out with an old lady. And she instantly said, oh, you mother. And even though that's very like low hanging fruit for humor, I don't know, just the timing of it just worked for me. But anyway, this ties into the theme that if the way that the Hero Society worked in the universe of Sky High, you wouldn't have had instances like a Sue Terry becoming Gwen, becoming Royal Pain, because y'all would have made a lane for her. Like, she could have been like a crazy tech person in the world and like just keep making gadgets for heroes, or making like different types of weapons to be able to stop villains. Like, they could have really did something with her, but because they disrespected her ability, she's like, oh, I got something for your ass. And then this gets into the climax of the film. Now that we know all this information, now it's up to the heroes and the villains to go at it. So we got Layla having to fight the Penny, the clone girl. Well, not clone. She can make duplicates of herself. And we got Lash versus Popsicle. We got Speed versus Warren for fire abilities. And then we got Zach and the other girl. What is her name? Magenta. There we go. Magenta are hiding out for everything to get wrapped up. But Again, when I said that each of them had a moment to step up and use their abilities for something good, it all happens towards the back end. When they're able to escape the firing of the pacifier, they're going through the air ducts. Zach leading the way because he can glow for they can see. Because he's glowing, when Will walks into the hall, he sees the vent glowing, opens it, that gets everybody out. Popsicle has a moment where he melts to dodge a punch from Lash, goes into the bathroom, gets revenge on Lash for all the bullying he's done to him since the beginning of the school year, reappears, puts his head in the toilet, swirly, his head stuck, stretched, Lash can't get his big ass head out. Then we have Popsicle making another appearance when Speed's running down the hall. He melts for he can slip, get wobbly. Warren comes up, fireball to the back of the ass. Now Speed stuck in the wall. Layla, who we don't know the full capabilities of her ability, but it all deals with plants and being in connection with them, kind of like Poison Ivy in a way. We found out, oh yeah, she could just like summon vines and went up from the below the earth, and like we're talking about Sky High is like literally like above, like it's pretty high up in the air, literally like no regular person can get there at all unless you work for them. So with her to be able to, her abilities to come all the way from beneath to come up and attack, or maybe there was plant life already on the school. Either way, crazy ability to be able to just catch all those damn duplicates at one time. Magenta, whose ability is to shapeshift only into a guinea pig, has to go into a conduit and travel through it to be able to chew off the wires on the bond that Royal Pain has placed for the whole school anti-gravity to stop working and drop the school and let it plummet. Whole bunch of plot points just spewed at you at once, but all that to say that all these characters' abilities had a moment to shine. They all got a chance, and I think that's ties into the theme, because you see where Royal Pain's villainy began, and you see where their the quote-unquote sidekicks, hero support, got to actually be heroes. Because even in the homework they do, hero support has to give up the glory. Like in the assignment, they're like, your hero is facing zombies or whatever, and you have the crossbow. What do? A, do you shoot them yourself? B, do you give them to your hero? Blah 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 blah. And Zach is all like, why would I give it to the hero? Like, let me take the shot. And there's all like, that's not your role. Now, because they have pushed that role aside and stepped up and saved not only two of the greatest heroes of all time, they saved their whole school from being corrupted. Like, that's legendary, and that shows that what could have been for World Pain, for Sue Terry, what could have been for her if she was given a chance to shine instead of having to be judged. And I think that overall theme is excellent, and I think that more people should give credit to what Sky High was aiming for. And now I want to get into talking about the cast, because they did an excellent job in this film. Michael Argarano as Will Stronghold, excellent lead, not too bland, got some good quips. You know, overall, you know, I like this role, and definitely gave off a good high school teenage, you know, angst and whatnot, all that. Kurt Russell as the commander, very funny in certain ways, great. He's super comic booky, and it's just funny seeing how he interacts and how much space he takes up in the room, especially in the commander costume. Kaylee Preston as Jetstream, excellent mom role, someone that, you know, definitely got a lot of attention when she was on screen. And something that the writers talked about in this film is that a lot of the male figures in this film are kind of like dim-witted in a way, or not seeing the full picture, but a lot of the women are complete characters, emotionally intelligent, and know truly the right things to say to other characters. And I thought that's definitely can be spoken about with Jetstream. Daniela Panabaker as Leia Williams, I thought she was very quirky, fun, and, you know, kind of just like the hopeless romantic, just in love with their friend without saying it and just trying to stick through to the end. Then you have Mary Elizabeth Weinstein as a Gwen / Royal Pain / Sue Terry. Hey, killed this role, because once she really start peeling back the layers and getting more evil and evil, because at first you just think, oh, she's just doing mean girl shit. No, she's the problem. She is the problem. Then you get excellent role from Patrick Warburton as a Royal Pain's voice. Appreciate that. Stephen Strait as War and Peace. I thought about this with the film, because War and Peace's character is his dad is a villain, his mom is a hero. This motherfucker's name is War and Peace. War and Peace. That's real comic book shit. I love it. I love it. Just a cool character, just the really emo, the one that want to be left alone, and he's pissed off. He just angry all the time. I respect it though. DJ Daniels as Ethan Bank, aka Popsicle. Definitely, again, honestly, side note, I like the melting effect. I just like how it looks. I think it looks really cool. I didn't talk about too much of the special and practical effects. Some of the visual effects, but the practicals and the special, this is just well done on both sides of that spectrum. Well balanced at all times. Kelly Vitz as Magenta Lewis, the shapeshifter. Very angsty, got some good comedic timings. Kind of just like the person that's the straight man, in the sense, the person that's not being the trying to be funny, but because of how she's interacting with other people, she's able to like just get some well-timed jokes off. Then you have Nicholas Braun as Zach Braun. Just a funny dude. He's definitely giving me old boy from Malibu Most Wanted. What's his boy name? What's that boy? Jamie something. Just off of the fits alone and how he's trying to talk, he ain't really saying no slang, but you feel like he want to, and just like he's teetering on that line. But he's definitely just a good friend. Good gives good laughs. Now for some of the villains, Malika and Kaja Hack as Penny Lent. These are the twins. If you've seen them in ATL, you know who I'm talking about. Very much so. How can I say this? She was Mean Girl the whole film. That's what it was. Yeah, Mean Girl the whole film. Mean Girl the whole film. And that's all she needed to do. It worked. Absolutely worked. Jake Sandvig as Lash, and then Will Harris as Speed. This duo together, they were just some dickheads and just typical bullying, but you add superpowers to it and it just makes it even worse. The comedic relief with Kevin McDonald as Professor Mandula, Bruce Campbell as Coach Boomer, Dave Foley as Mr. Jonathan Boy, aka All American Boy, and then you have Kevin Heffernan as Ron Wilson, bus driver. All four of these had certain little splashes to add on to the film at certain moments, and I did enjoy their presence within. David Foley, man, they put him through the ringer in some of these scenes, especially during the montage sequence. It's just funny. Just overall, I think the cast knew what the job was and executed it well, and that just leads me to say that I give this film 4 stars. 4 stars for Sky High. I think this is a film that I wish could have had a sequel during that time frame. Like if they would have made something in like 2007, if they would have made a sequel for 2007, I would have enjoyed it. I would have very much so enjoyed it. Like the graduation year, we find out what their hero names are. We find out if things have maybe a new plot line is, did they finally break down the wall of hero and hero support, or like who picking and choosing based off of like a test, like a true score sheet of their capabilities, their knowledge and stuff like that, like they do with My Hero Academia, to decide which classes they get into, something along the lines. I think a sequel for this could have been really cool in my opinion, but I don't know, maybe this should have just been a one-off film, and that's why me and many others still come back to this film and still get the same type of enjoyment, or like myself, finding new things that I didn't notice when I was younger when watching this film. But all I do know is it's 4 stars. 4. Sometimes inspiration just pops up and you just got to capitalize on it. That's kind of one of the reasons where I was distraught about what I wanted to do last week. That's why there was no video besides some extra external factors with that. But it just made me want to ponder what I want to talk about even more. And I was talking to a good friend of mine, Ronan, and we was having a conversation just about the film, because I was just telling him that, at first I was thinking of combining this with something else, which I think I'm gonna do for a later review. But with this, within discussion, I found out there was much more. I started realizing what was there, like beneath the surface. Because again, I think there's so much more to this film than just being a film about high schoolers, superhero high schoolers. You know what I'm saying? And with the I've rewatched it twice now since, and it still amazes me how everything just came together at a perfect time for a film like this. And I just wanted to be the ones to talk about it and truly highlight it in a way that I don't think it doesn't get too often. So I'm giving the flowers to Sky High that it deserves. This has been Rorvis Reviews. I am Rorvis Paradox, aka Docs Brando, and I'll see you again next time. Make sure you're subscribed to the Patreon. Peace.